there has been basically no progress on the Donovan Mitchell front from the Knicks' perspective. The Knicks are kind of playing hardball with the Jazz right now. Danny Ainge is probably trying to fleece them, is my guess, and get every single pick that they have. Every single
he wants the fucking 29 pick.
He wants the 29 pick unprotected. He wants everything. He's going against the Zach Lowe end theory of the apocalypse happening in 7 years, and he's banking on the fact that there's going to be some 12-year-old prospect that's out there right now that will be the next LeBron or Giannis or whatever.
Yeah, so last that happened was during the 5-team trade era, RIP. The Nets are offering Ben Simmons and 4 firsts for Donovan Mitchell, because obviously they can't have Simmons and Mitchell. Then the Nets came in and ruined, or the Knicks came in and ruined everything by offering like some ridiculous package that I hadn't gotten the exact number of first offered, but it was as high as 7.
Sure.
And like Randall, Quickly, and Toppin, and like it was 4 firsts and 3 swaps or something like that. And I was like, for Donovan Mitchell?
But at the same time, how many of those picks are you paying to get off of the Julius Randle contract? 2? Like, I mean,
fair.
I don't think Julius Randle's contract is like horrendously bad. Like, he makes what, 25
I think he's going to get a lot better in Utah because he plays better with no crowds. So
it's true. Yeah, he had the best season of his career during the Mickey year. But
so yeah, I mean,
but hold on. Let's run it back.
All those 3 fake firsts from the draft they got.
Sure. Yeah. The fake firsts that they got from OKC, which are like top 14 protected and really have no actual value to most teams. But going back to your 5-team trade thing, so that would have been Simmons going to Utah with the Phoenix picks, I assume, right? Because the Nets don't have picks.
There was at one point a report of a Pacers pick, which again doesn't really make sense to me unless there was more movement going on with like they were getting off Buddy Hield or something.
Sure.
I don't know, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and that would have been like Mitchell, Bridges.
Or no, it was the Suns picks and the Lakers picks.
It doesn't matter now. It's over. Picks. So Mitchell, it would have been like Mitchell, Bridges, maybe Ayton. I don't know. I don't even know if Ayton would have been able to be included because of the designated rookie extension, all that shit, blah, blah, blah. But now it seems like the Knicks deal is kind of inevitable. And I said it on the last episode where I felt like Danny Ainge leaked that story to basically put pressure on the Knicks to make a deal, because if they don't make a deal now, like, cool, you just had the best opportunity to get a star. This is literally what you brought in, these basically boosters from CAA in Leon Rose and Worldwide Wes to come in and just recruit. You got Johnny Bryant as your assistant coach. You've just been basically hiring guys to recruit on your behalf. You have everything set up for Donovan Mitchell, and now is Danny Ainge really trying to like hold them over a barrel? Is it like, are the Knicks really just being cheap because they've been super conservative ever since they hired this front office? My guess is that a package looks something like this. Honestly, this is what I think the Jazz are probably trying to get right now. And I think the Knicks are like, that's way too fucking much. Like I think it's going to be Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, Derrick Rose, 5 firsts and 2 swaps.
Good Lord. I'm wondering if the Knicks also have brains and go, we just signed Jalen Brunson to $130 million or whatever the hell the contract was.
Right.
And you want us to pair him with Donovan Mitchell? Like, that's not going to work at all.
It's Dame and CJ, but in New York.
And they're smaller and
yeah,
less good at basketball.
Slightly, not. I mean, but then again, wouldn't that still be the most success the Knicks have had in like 20 years?
They made the Eastern Conference Finals the one time, didn't they, with the Melo year?
Did they make it? I don't think they made it past the second round with Melo. I think Melo only made 1 conference finals in his career, and it was on the Nuggets.
Oh, maybe that's true. Or they were the 2 seed in the regular season, and they didn't make the finals.
And they didn't make the But they've really only had 1 like somewhat successful year in the past 15 to 20 or 2, really, the COVID year, which is now looking like an outlier. And my whole thing here is like, look, I get it. And like, it's always fun whenever these trades happens because you get to see fan bases go through fan base psychosis on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Where like I saw a tweet earlier that said that
the Celtics one.
No. I saw Quickly, Toppin. We'll talk about that one in a second. Quickly, Toppin, and Grimes can turn into franchise cornerstones and stars in New York.
Like, what? Okay, what is this like consent going around? We'll get to Quentin Grimes. What the fuck do people think Quentin Grimes is? Am I being punked? Is this like a bit that I'm not aware of?
I have no idea. I feel like everyone's losing their mind over a guy that averaged like 8 points a game in 20 minutes a game last year, and played
a top
good
125
defense,
player in the NBA,
which is insane because he's destroying summer league. I don't know, like. Is Tari Eason already one of the top 125 players in the NBA? Is like, I just don't really get the whole Quentin Grimes thing. Like, if you're letting Quentin Grimes hold up a deal, which is like apparently like they want to include more first so they can keep Quentin Grimes, which makes sense to me because you want to have role players left after you gut your fucking roster to get Donovan Mitchell. But at the same time, my whole thing on this is like the Jazz they want Quentin Grimes, one, because he's on a rookie deal. Two, because, yeah, maybe he can have some role player potential to be like a 3-and-D guy or whatever. But mostly they just want to make the Knicks as bad as possible. Because if they make this trade, it's going to be Brunson, Mitchell, Barrett, Randall, Robinson as the starting five, which like defensively it's going to be a disaster defensively. You basically have in that starting lineup, you have two positive defenders in RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, and then you have Julius Randle, who is, when he doesn't try, which I would imagine if he's like the fourth option on offense next year, he's definitely not going to fucking try, can be a disaster. Mitchell, we know about his issues defensively. Maybe coaching or working with Thibs, he'll be better. Maybe not being in Utah, he'll be better. I don't fucking know.
He was a good defender his rookie year and was rated as a good defender coming out of college.
Sure.
And now he's just turned into a disaster.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, to the point where I haven't looked at his playoff net rating, but if you told me Mitchell's playoff net rating was somehow negative despite putting up like 40 a game, like, I would believe you.
I actually think it's his net rating is better in the playoffs than it is in the regular season. But also keep in mind he had the bubble season and he had the like
50 points a night game or whatever.
I think Mitchell, if anything, might be being underrated by everyone because of this past season. And like, I really think the defensive thing is at least partially effort. And I think that he could get back to being like a neutral defender when, if he's going to a team like the Knicks, like they at least have like three other offensive scoring options. Not that I guess the Jazz kind of did too, though. They had Clarkson, Conley, and Bojan.
Just forming the worst Jazz. Like instead of Rudy Gobert, they have Mitchell Robinson, who is, all respect to Mitchell Robinson, he is not Rudy Gobert.
Sure,
this is gonna be a disaster.
So, if you look at their bench after they would make that trade, it would be Isaiah Hartenstein, who actually is pretty good. He's a solid bench player.
Good.
It's a good backup big. Evan Fournier, who, if he's your seventh man, I think it's fine. And then after that, it's like, I think Cam Reddish, which everyone knows that listens to the podcast knows I'm not a Cam Reddish guy. Norristown zone, Cam Reddish.
High school.
Yeah, look, maybe Cam Reddish can turn it around, figure it out, but I'm not high on that. And then Jericho Sims, who's shown some stuff, but also like he'd be like your third string center. So like, really, what does that help? And rookie Trevor Keels, which like, I don't know. The Knicks seem to be pretty good at drafting like role players, so maybe he'll be decent. But like, you're depending a lot on guys who have Cam Reddish, who's never been good in the NBA, like consistently at least. Jericho Sims, who didn't really play, and he would be your third string center, so he wouldn't even be in the rotation really. And Trevor Keels, who's never played a game in the NBA. So I'm not super high on the Knicks after this trade, but also my whole thing is like, why not? Just do it. Who cares?
Yeah, you're the Knicks. What else? What is he doing?
You've already leaned into being too good to tank. So like, it's the difference between being like the 11 seed and the 7 seed. And like, hey, at least you're like probably in the playoffs if you're the 7 seed.
Yeah.
I guess that's the pitch. Like, the mid and Midtown, like we're just going to be super mid and hope that RJ Barrett gets better. I don't know.
maybe I'm just not remembering something off the top of my head. Has a team ever made one of these trades when it's like absolutely 100% clear this team will not even be good if they make this trade?
Well, yeah, I guess the difference between this and the Rudy Gobert trade is that the Timberwolves will still be good. They're just not going to win. They're probably not going to win a title, and they went all in
but
on
also
that.
The Timberwolves, like the Knicks, like literally they haven't made the playoffs 2 years in a row since Kevin Garnett was there.
Sure.
So they just like, we have a core. We want to at least do something.
Well, it would be the Brooklyn Nets, right? When they traded for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, and like that team was pretty mid, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, obviously that would be that one. And then
that's the only one I can think of where like you're just overpaying everything you have to become like a 6 seed or 7 seed.
Yeah, it's so like from a Zach Lowe's gonna rip his hair out. Like,
yeah,
you thought the Gobert trade was bad?
Well,
at least you understand the dynamic of Cat is a 4 and like cannot rim protect. So we get the best rim protector, if one of the greatest ever at it. Put it next to him. And then for this one, it's like, okay, we have Jalen Brunson, and we're going to pair him with Donovan Mitchell. And it's like the Spider-Man meme. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is not as good.
Yeah.
But they're like, it's just, what? Jalen Brunson's a better playmaker, so you put Mitchell at the 2, like as he normally is, but it's just a disaster. Like,
yeah, I don't know about that. I think Donovan Mitchell's a pretty good playmaker now. But I do think that, like, my whole thing with this roster construction is like, you've basically created the thing that I think is it's just like very anti what the NBA has become, which is like having a ton of space. And like all of these guys, like Randall's mid-range heavy, clogs up the paint. Brunson does a lot of his work in the mid-range and the post. Mitchell is the one guy that will be a consistent pull-up threat, but also the spacing around him isn't going to be great. RJ Barrett, if he stops just taking pull-up threes, which he's a fucking disaster at, and just decides to be like space in the corner guy and like be like a secondary, like third option, I could see him growing into like as I've described, like basically like a slightly worse version of like what Andrew Wiggins has become. If that's like, to me, that's like what his ideal role is. So maybe that could work, but like Mitchell Robinson can't shoot. Julius Randle has the worst shot selection in the NBA. Jalen Brunson can shoot, but he's more of a mid-range guy. And then RJ Barrett is like a decent shooter off the catch, but like not a great one. Like, I don't know. Like, I think you do this deal once again because you think that Mitchell's going to get even better in a new situation, which I actually think offensively his situation in Utah was pretty ideal. He had one of the best pick and roll bigs in the NBA, defense or offensively, also defensively, one of the best bigs. He had insane shooting around him. He had Bojan Bogdanovic, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley. Like, he had guys who could just shoot like over 40% off the catch. Royce O'Neal, even, like, pretty decent shooter. Like, it will be interesting if they do this trade to see. It really all depends on RJ Barrett, because if RJ Barrett is what I think he is, which is like tops out as like a decent role player, then this trade is probably looks really bad in a few years. And Donovan Mitchell, if he can't get another second star there, he's probably going to Miami anyway in like 3 years or 4 years, because that's why they hired, or Dwayne Wade took part ownership in the Jazz, apparently, because Pat Riley has fucking shooters everywhere. But the Knicks thing is like you're kind of locking yourself into a mid team with not a ton of flexibility, and then you're basically betting on the fact that RJ Barrett can become an all-star. And if RJ Barrett becomes an all-star, which I don't think he is, then this trade is actually pretty good, because in a few years you have Mitchell in his prime, Brunson as like a sub all-star type guy, Barrett as a legit all-star, and then you have like a really good young team. But like, I just don't really see. I look, once again, they should do it because they have no other options. But like, I don't know. Like, if I were a GM, I would not be signing myself up to be kind of middling. But once again, what else are they gonna fucking do?